Hello, I'm Paul.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Ben.
And welcome to the Film Busters podcast. The film show with no filters, no prisoners taken, loads of disagreements, but one hell of a love for cinema.
If you want to hear three friends ridiculing each other for an hour or so regarding their taste in films, then you have come to the right place.
In each episode, one of the team picks a film for us to discuss. It could be anything from a recent cinema release to an all-time classic.
So, strap in and get ready to get mad or get vindicated as we guide you through the murky world of being a film geek.
If you like what you hear, you can also find us on Twitter and Instagram using @FilmbustersPod. You can also find each of our individual accounts. I'm at Filmbusters Paul.
I'm at Filmbusters Adam.
And I'm at Filmbusters Ben.
If you want to use your eyes instead of your ears, you can also visit the website at filmbusтерspod.co.uk.
And if busting makes you feel good, you can also support us at patreon.com/filmbusters for exclusive content.
Alright, can we just get on with this now, please?
Filmbusters.
So, since this episode is being brought to us from our very good musical friend Sean Panda Nicholson, and before we talk about things musical, all things musical, let's start off with all things musical. We had our wrap-up of Spotify and Apple.
Oh, yes.
We all had it through, right? And I decided to listen to the top songs from You Boys, like the top song for You Boys last night.
But not my one. What,
yes,
the zombies?
Yes, so I have questions. So, first of all, Paul, your top played song was 3,287 plays or something like that?
Yeah.
And it's like, without having any context of it, it's like a minute 20, it's all instrumental, and it's like a video game music or something.
That's it, yeah.
Right. I can only assume this was for Woody.
It is.
But why does he listen to that so much? Because I would assume for kids, they need a few lyrics in there to sing along to it. But since there's no lyrics, what does he do listening to that?
This is the thing. So the bedtime routine, right, is to go to bed, we read a book, and then after we've read the book, we put on a little song just for him to go to sleep to. And normally we just leave it on, and we'd normally turn it off by the time we go to bed. And one of his favourites is to listen to Plants vs Zombies, and it's like the theme tune from it. And it's like...
Is that even a game anymore?
It's all over everywhere, all over YouTube and stuff, so people are still playing it. I don't know whether people still actually play it.
It's playing right now, actually, Paul, isn't it? Everyone can hear it.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. It's playing right now, so you can hear it. And that's why it plays so many times, because it just loops over and over. So like, imagine me and Zoe just leaving Woody sleeping.
For an hour.
If it's only a minute, if it's only a minute long,
yes.
It's probably about 2 hours playing for that amount of time. And that's why it plays so many times.
What do you play that on, your phone?
No, we've got a little Echo Dot that sits in Woody's room.
I was just listening to him as well. Jeff Bezos has all of his information, and he's only 3 years old.
I was wondering, when I was listening to it, I was thinking, actually, I'm not sure if this is for Woody or if this is like, concentration music for you or something.
For me, yeah.
I was legitimately wondering.
It's very obscure.
Very obscure. Well, that was your most listened to. Thank you for clarifying that. 3,287 times. Adam, yours was a Kendrick Lamar track which I had never heard before.
Was it?
Yes, called Mr. Morales.
No, his album, Mr. Morales and the Big Steppers.
Yeah, but the song, your most played song, because it was on your most played song.
My most played album.
What?
My most played song was by Bicep.
Oh, don't make a fool out of me live on the podcast.
Oh, he's making a fool out of you live on the podcast.
Well, I'll tell you what. I listened to the Mr. Morales anyway. Listen,
the
don't lie to me.
Good. It's his new album. It's new Kendrick Lamar's new album.
Yes. I'm going to see if you're lying to me, because I'm just checking here. No, Adam's a liar, man. He tries to make a fool out of me. Mr. Morale is your top played song, right?
No, that's the top best. All that one.
Yes,
there
I
albums.
see that also. So there is a page that says out of 121 albums played, these are your top 5, and Mr. Morale is at the top. Then on the next thing that you shared with us, it says your most played songs, and Mr. Morale has 60 plays. Then second, Wet Leg has 47 plays.
Yeah, they're all albums.
Oh.
Lord, give me strength.
Yes. Anyway, it's beside the point. My
well,
point
anyway,
is,
how was it?
Well, I realise that this is any Kendrick Lamar song. It just sounds like this. You ready?
Go on.
This, regardless. If you tell me Kendrick's got new music, this is what it's going to sound like. Ready?
Yeah.
hit it, oh, how about the dick at the whoa, and all the 20-year-olds are losing their fucking minds. Hey. I'm sure he's saying good stuff. I do
That
like
sounds
it,
about right.
but that's what he sounds like all the time. That's what the album. You pick any Kendrick song, you'll hear it.
Do you agree with this statement, Adam?
I mean, yeah. If you become,
Perfect.
if you speak like that, yes.
There you go.
Well, perfect impression.
Yep.
But what was your best played song or most played song on Spotify then, Ben?
Well, mine was Lighthouse, and
Oh,
coming
of
full
course.
circle, you can go and listen to Dear Sean Panda Nicholson's podcast, where he kindly invited me on as a guest, and I talk about why I love that song so much.
Yeah, it is a great song.
Only 26 plays, not 3,287.
No, well, that is Woody's fault, isn't it?
Yes.
That's what you get when you have a little boy who loves to listen to the same music while he's sleeping.
Yeah. There you go. So that's the music episode.
There we go, and it's fitting. So, Sean Pounder Nicholson, this is your episode. You picked a film for us to watch. It was Once from 2007. You're kicking off the 2007 round on Filmbusters.
Yes.
So we're all going to pick films from 2007 from now on until we've all picked one, basically.
I remembered I hadn't decided what my 2007 film is yet.
Is it your pick today?
Apparently it's my pick next.
It is.
Oh shit! You better pick. But if you would like to do something like this and pick some films for us to watch and talk about, then you can become a patron at www.patreon.com/filmbusters, and you can get loads of exclusive benefits like exclusive episodes. You can pick the episode, you can come on the show, depending on what tier you pick. But you can become a patron just for the small amount of £1 single, and you can get over 40 episodes at the moment for that single £1. So it's all pretty nice.
It is pretty
Yes.
nice.
Should we slowly move on to what we're talking about today and go on to our staple of every episode?
The quiz.
Yeah,
Is that the staple?
it's the staple of every episode.
Okay, well, fair enough. Do we do the 2007 history first?
Oh, yes.
I can't remember if we do, or if we do questions first.
I can't remember what we do first. Whatever you want to do first.
I think we do 2007 first.
Let's do that first then.
I thought it'd be the other way around.
Go on, you set it up again, Paul.
I can just keep it in.
Okay, we keep it in. We keep it in. There you go, behind the scenes, folks. So yeah, with the new round brings new history, new landmarks. So here's some 2007 things that happened that you might not believe, because I don't know about you boys, 2007 doesn't feel like all that long ago to me.
No, definitely not.
I'm that age where it doesn't. But the funny thing is, 2007 was closer to Adam's birth than it is to where he is now, which is scary.
Wow. Yeah.
Yes.
No.
Whereas for me, that 2007 is recent history. Well, anyway, so here's what happened in 2007, boys. You ready? Here's a cheery one to start it off. Madeleine McCann disappears from her family's hotel in
Oh,
Portugal.
shit.
Still missing to this day. Now, doesn't it feel like she's been missing for a lot longer?
Yeah, definitely.
Gordon Brown becomes Prime Minister in the UK after Tony Blair steps down.
Okay.
The deadly H5N1 strain of bird flu is found at a Bernard Matthews turkey farm in Suffolk, and there is panic in the UK, panic on the streets of London, panic on the streets of Birmingham. I wonder to myself. US Senator Barack Obama announces his presidential bid. 2007. Apple's iPhone is released in the USA. The first iPhone, 2007
First one?
only. Mental,
Wow.
eh? The first FA Cup final at the new Wembley Stadium took place. Adam,
Do you know who won
recall
it?
the score? Yes.
I don't know who won it. I know Chelsea won it. I don't. 2-1. I want to say.
1-0. Who'd they beat?
Portsmouth.
Man United.
Oh, it was Man United that year.
Terrorists drive a jeep into the entrance of Glasgow International Airport, and the locals pile out and beat the shit out of them.
I remember that.
That's how you handle it.
Wow, we were.
Smoking in public and workplaces was banned in England.
Okay. Well,
In public?
Smoking ban in public places, like in
pubs and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, right. I thought you
Yeah.
meant this out in the street.
Internal places. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
2007.
I thought it was much earlier than that.
The follow-up to Live Aid, the Live Earth concerts took place and are held throughout 9 major cities across the world. I remember that was the first time that I properly listened to Pink Floyd because they reformed for that. It was a big deal, and I was like, "Oh baby, these guys are good."
Oh,
and you never
baby,
get to
baby.
see them. And that's some 2007 stuff.
Loving it. I love it. I love this little bit of knowledge, and it does feel like so much longer. All that stuff.
It does, doesn't it? The
Yeah.
Madeleine McCann one blows my mind. That really feels like something. It feels like a horror story from childhood rather than something that happened
for sure.
quite recently.
Yeah, for sure. Right. Well, thank you, Ben. Shall we now move on to the staple of every episode?
Yes.
Right. If Paul gets both of these points, Adam is out of the quiz, and the only person who can catch him is me because of the amount of episodes we've got left this year.
If we do
Okay.
that, shall I become the host and answer 2 questions at the end of the year for you two?
No.
Because Ben wants to control the questions.
Yes. Adam is being very passive aggressive in the WhatsApp group on the sides. He's pointing out quite clearly, this is songs, this is albums.
Well, I'm just helping you.
So for reference, his top
Oh,
song,
he's helping you, Ben.
His
He's
top-
helping you.
his top most played song was Atlas by Bicep. No one's ever heard of that. But for some reason, he's decided that he is a 20-year-old. And Mr. Brightside is also one of his most played
Yeah,
songs.
I don't know why that is
Why?
up there, to be honest. And that and
It's-
the Pit Minute
It's a very
song.
lizard. It's a very lizard song to listen to.
Yeah. The bright side of the
I like
lamp.
it,
Turn the
man.
lamp on in my little tank, please.
Your UV lamp.
I don't know why it's up there, to be honest. But yeah, there are some songs in there that I think just get shuffled in a playlist and they always just seem to be there every year. I mean, it's only 10 plays, which isn't a lot.
Getting very defensive.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, boys and listeners, this is the part of the episode where I ask the boys two quiz questions about the film that we've just watched. If they get the questions right, they get the points. If they get the questions wrong, I get the points. Currently, Paul is in the lead with 30 points. I'm in second place with 27. Oh, that's close. And Adam is in last place with 22. It's all or nothing for Adam on these 2 questions.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. What are the opening lyrics to the award-winning Falling Slowly?
Catch me when I fall, or I won't come back at all.
That's good, but it's not the one.
That's fucking what's his name? Nah.
I don't know who sang that song, but yeah, I don't know.
It begins with N.
Nas.
The stars catch me when I fall, or I won't come back at all.
Paul, have you any indication?
No, go on.
Oh dear. The opening lyrics to Falling Slowly are, I don't know you, but I want you all the more for that.
I would never know that.
No.
Never know that.
It was sung several times in a film.
I know.
That's a point for me. Number 2. The girl has a problem with her vacuum cleaner.
Mm-hmm.
What is the remedial work that needed to be done on it?
Change the filter.
It's not the one, Adam.
Change the motor.
It's not the one, Paul.
Oh.
That's 2 points for Benny Boy this week. It needed the belt replaced.
Oh, that
in
is,
it.
yes. It was the belt. Yes, it was, yes.
The belt replaced.
The belt replaced.
Should I do that
So,
herself?
listeners, and Adam, bad news, brother. You're out. Actually, you know what? You're not. Because Paul didn't score any points there, if you were to score all remaining points this year, you would tie with Paul.
Okay.
Look at that.
So you're still in the mix,
Put the work in, Adam. Come on.
I am 1 behind Paul. Have we ever had a year where a host has gone back to back?
Yeah. It's not always me and you going back to back.
No,
Yeah.
I mean a host doing
Oh,
the
no,
same.
no.
Yeah, Paul stayed on, hasn't he?
No, because I think it kind of goes to think that the hosts just tried to make themselves win.
Well, there you go. And there's new rules this time, baby. Remember, like we said, whoever wins picks who's the host. That's the prerogative. They
that'd be
can
nice.
choose to be
Let's do that, yeah.
or nominate. I think
like
we all
that.
know which way it's going next year.
Yeah.
Regardless of who wins this. There we go. Cheers.
Thank you. That was good.
Thank
Should we
you.
talk about once?
Let's talk about once.
I'll put that there, yeah? This is in C, yeah?
Yeah, I can see that.
So it goes, da, it goes da, 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 da. Yeah? And then there's a bit in it. Can you do that? Brilliant. And then there's another part that goes that. Yeah? And then the chorus, so you have those two bits, and the chorus goes. Da, 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 ba, 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 da, da. That's it. Perfect. Brilliant. So do you want to give a spin?
Yes. Try
Okay.
it.
2, 3, 4.
Okay, everyone. This is us talking about Once. This is a film that's been suggested by Sean Pandle Nicholson. This is Once from 2007 by John Carney. This is a spoiler episode. So if you've not watched the film, you might want to go watch it first before we spoil it terribly for you. Otherwise, just let us spoil it terribly for you. I can tell you right now, there's no one in this film that has been in films we've done before.
No one at all.
So, no. I mean, that's not
Hardly
really a big surprise,
surprising.
is it? No. So, that means we move directly on to Adam explaining the plot.
This is about a man who likes to play his guitar in the middle of Dublin. And he's sitting there, he's strumming along. He gets a little incident at the beginning.
Little incident.
Yeah, he does, and he chases a little naughty boy. And but then he meets this girl on the street, and they have a weird love/friendship story that happens throughout the film, and talk about their problems, and he's trying to make it as a musician.
Weird love.
Yeah.
Nobody
That's all
knows what it
correct.
is.
Well, we'll talk about that. Here's some background for you on it. So, director John Carney was originally in a band
John
called
Carpenter.
Yes. Yeah, John Carpenter was originally in a band called The Frames with Glenn Hansard, the guy who plays the guy in this. And he originally earmarked actor Cillian Murphy for the lead role in Once, because Murphy had some background as a musician. But Murphy, wasn't sure that he could act alongside someone who had no acting experience, which was Marketa Glover, who was 17 at the time and was a musician, but also he wasn't convinced that he would be able to convincingly pull off Glenn Hansard's vocals, because Glenn Hansard had written all the songs in advance for the film. Cillian Murphy just didn't think he'd be up for it. So instead, Carney, who played bass in The Frames, turned to Glenn Hansard and asked him if he would do it. And he said yes. They shot it over 3 weeks on 2 handy cams at friends' places using natural light. They only spent about $100,000 on the whole thing.
Oh wow, that's nice.
Yes. And it ended up making, I haven't got the figure in front of me, but for that $100,000 that they spent on it, I believe it ended up taking $28.5 million back
Wow,
at the box
well.
office. So it did very well. Took its cast from the streets of Dublin to the stages of Hollywood, because at the 80th Academy Awards, both Glover and Hansard won the Oscar for Best Original Song for Falling Slowly. And during the acceptance speech, when Glenn Hansard closed his remarks by saying, make art, the music began playing and cut off Marketa Glover before she could say anything. And in a break from tradition, John Oliver brought her back to the stage after the ad break so that she could make her comments as well. And she closed with the inspiring words, no matter how far your dreams are, it is possible. It spawned a stage show and many other things.
Nice.
Very nice. That's a nice little story. I like that.
Yeah, nice.
It makes me like the film a little bit more, actually.
Oh well, there you go.
Do we want to kick this off before we do our first thoughts of Sean's first initial thoughts about this?
Let's do that.
Okay.
You go ahead and read it.
Do you want me to do it, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so Sean has to say, Once is one of those films I find hard to recommend because it feels so personal to me. However, I think John Carney's realistic, almost documentary approach is sensational. He manages to get Oscar-worthy performances from 2 charismatic amateurs, seemingly with ease, and the chemistry between them is amazing. The heart-wrenching way in which you watch these two do this sort of courtship dance and ultimately fail to get together always hits me square in the chest and leaves me breathless. I haven't even mentioned the music, have I? Well, Glenn Hansard and Marquita Iglova are phenomenal, and their songs and performances of them are some of my favourites in all of the music verse. That scene in the music shop where they first play together is one of those accurate and damn near perfect representations of what it's like when you truly connect with another musician. It has to be experienced. I love this film. Even if you all say you hate it, it would not change my mind in any way. It's a 10 out of 10 for me.
I absolutely respect that whole thing about no matter what you say, I don't give a fuck. This is how I feel. That's how it should be about it always. Good man.
Of course. Absolutely. Wonderful.
I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. How did you boys watch this? Netflix. I just realised it's on Netflix.
Yeah, it's Netflix.
Didn't even realise that.
Yeah.
Well, good stuff, Sean.
Very good. Very good. Adam, Sean's not here to tell us, so you get to decide whose first impressions you want in what order.
Well, as always, should we just do Film Busters?
Okay, you love going to default, don't you?
Well, I think we should go default when it's
He
not
love it.
Classic film.
He love it.
I don't care.
Let's have
I
it.
love it.
Okay, so I went to this blind, and for the first scene, I was a little bit lured into believing it could have been like an offbeat comedy with him chasing down that thief, and it was a little funny in places, but it certainly wasn't a full-blown comedy like I was led to believe. Really, it's just a wonderfully sweet little film, and I was unsure whether the guy and girl were going to win me round at first, but they did, and I think that's the power of the music as well. More than anything, you can feel every bit of emotion pouring out from the lyrics in every song, and like the relationship forming through the intent of every song as well from then on.
Yeah.
And to sum it up, I knew I was sold on it when I was so wrapped up in wanting his dad to approve his album. so him saying like it's fucking brilliant, it felt like such a win. And it's a very lovely little film, very wholesome. It's almost like the Before Sunset of the music world.
Yeah,
It's exactly what Jenny said.
It had that written all over it. But
Yeah, and with an ending that I kind of dug too. So that's my first impressions.
Very good.
Nice. Yeah, I'm gonna kind of just echo what Paul said there. To be honest, yeah, it's a lovely. I very much enjoyed this film. I didn't obviously love it. I don't think I loved it as much as Sean did, but yeah, I like this scene in the piano shop. It was the one that encapsulated. That's just such a lovely little moment of them like bonding, and it's like the Before Sunset, but with friends rather than relationships, and a little more complicated but less complicated at the same time. So I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I actually really liked it more than I thought I was going to.
Good.
I find that one hard. We're going to have to unpick that. I can't quite tell where you land on it, actually, Adam. We'll have to find out as we discussed this. I was very glad when Sean suggested this, because I've got a little bit of a history, which I may have mentioned, with this film, because it was the very first film that Jenny and I ever saw together when we started going out with each other back right at the beginning of 2012, 10 and a half years ago. And I think it probably says a lot about the fact that at the beginning of COVID, I got rid of every one of my Blu-ray covers and just whacked everything into a wallet just to save space. But I did keep a very, very small handful of Blu-rays, and this was one of them for the sentimental reasons, obviously. Yeah. And that year in 2012, when we saw that film together, we both really liked it. We both very much connected over it, but we were still working out, we were still early on in our relationship, so our conversations wouldn't have been as deep and about it, and also what I was watching at that time wasn't quite that style of film. So I remember thinking I very much like it. I really loved his voice, and we went to Latitude Festival that summer to see Glenn Hansard perform live. And his voice is obviously every bit as strong as it is in the film. When he is singing and suddenly it starts to swell towards the end and he's almost barking the lyrics, like shouting the lyrics, but in that really melodic way that he can do, that is so fucking powerful. And it was at Latitude subsequently. So much so, boys, that I don't know if you realised Adam was in control of this. On my wedding day, at the wedding breakfast, the song "Falling Slowly" played from the playlist,
it now?
which Adam set up.
Okay.
Yeah, because it had that significance.
I didn't know that.
Yes. And so watching it again yesterday, as I did, it was a very emotional experience because the whole film is great anyway because of the fact that it deals with people who are on the brink of going two ways. They've got the past life, past relationships, but also the future and the potential future that they could have together or alone in each other's company, and all that means. And it made me think about the fact that when we first watched that film, we were in that position, very, very new in our relationship with one another, not quite knowing where it would lead. And it was very melancholy for me to think 10 years later, we're married, everything that we've been through together, and how much more power the songs took on this second time round because of the weight of what they're singing about. I was at tears many times when they were singing songs, and the fucking power of it, that if you tell someone who hasn't seen the film, okay, you're going to sit through about 10 to 15 songs played in their entirety in this, not in a musical way, but just someone singing, you would think, oh, I'm not sure about that. But I just adore them as songwriting talents and singers. They're both incredible. And I really love the fact that it's so pure. Like any traditional Hollywood Americanized version of this film, you know that they would have to throw in a couple of hurdles along the way, some drama that they need to navigate so that they can grow and then give you a good bit of closure at the ending. But I love the fact that everything is so pure and like very emotionally beautiful in this, because it is just inspiring for the most part and realistic. So at the end, when he goes to London, it's realistic to believe that despite his girlfriend cheating on him, he is going there to be with her. It's also realistic to believe he could get there and realise, actually, I've grown from this and I don't need to be with her. I just want to be in London to make my career. It's also realistic that she, after having left her husband or being separated from her husband, would also decide, oh, maybe I should give it a shot, even if it isn't right. We don't know. At the end, we don't know if it's right for them or not. But they're on the precipice, and they connected through music with one another. They absolutely connected through music, and that's why sex didn't matter. That's why a relationship didn't really matter. They shared something arguably more intimate than that. And yeah, I thought it was very beautiful, and it made me I appreciated it more with age and experience than I did at the time. I loved it then, but I love it a lot more now.
I do agree. I feel like it is a film, if you watched when you were little, like 18, 17, I wouldn't have appreciated it as much as I did this time.
Yeah. I know I'm jumping straight to the ending, but it does have that kind of effect, as you say, like it could go any way. But I rewound the ending like a few times just to try and take in every kind of thing that was in the background. So when he was in the airport, I was like, is he actually in London? I was thinking, is he actually just leaving the airport right now? And that's and then you see the bus driving in right at the last shot, and I was like, is this him arriving on the bus?
I did have to rewind it all. I'd like to try and piece it all together again.
Yeah,
I just like,
I think that's why it's so good. Yeah, it's good that it doesn't have a solid ending, because it adds that kind of like you have to fill in the blanks yourself depending on what you kind of took from the film, I think.
Yeah,
I think that's why it's good.
What's both your interpretation of where they're both at the ending? I know we are jumping right to the ending, but let's go for it.
So I in my interpretation, she's sitting there playing her piano, and she's just thinking about the time she's had the last couple of weeks. She's not really thinking about the moment because she's looking out the window, and he is in the airport smiling, leaving the airport, saying, I know what I really want, and that bus pulling up is him actually arriving at her apartment.
What, in Dublin? And you think he's arriving at the girl's apartment?
I didn't even think he got on the plane.
I mean, that's interesting.
Because you never see him get on the plane. You see him waiting in the airport, and then you see him walking in the airport, the last shot. You don't see him on the plane.
I mean, it's an interesting take. I never considered it that way.
I just think the budget didn't let them afford a plane ticket.
Because I was studying what the behind in the airport. There was pictures on the wall and there were landmarks, but that could mean anything because they always show landmarks from different countries. So I was thinking, is there anything here that can pinpoint where he actually is right now? But there wasn't.
It's interesting. I mean, I would like not to think that that is what happened, because I like that it is more, it is less traditional in that these two crossed paths and were on the border of something happening. But the reality is, in life, it ain't like the movies. That doesn't happen. Sometimes you do connect with someone for a fleeting moment, and for various reasons you don't connect. Like when he's like, do you want to spend the night? And she's like, fuck you, and goes. It's because she's like, come on, I know you are still hung up on your ex. We are connecting through your music, absolutely. But your music is all about your obsession with your ex.
They're both there for a reason of each other's lives, but they don't need to be there forever.
Yeah, exactly. It's that whole thing of some people can be in your life for a fleeting moment.
Friends for a reason and friends for a season.
You got it. That's it. And I think, from that moment where after they've gone through that incredible recording session and they're standing talking, and he's like, will you come over? And she's like, no, I need to get back. And then he's like, what about tonight? It's almost like begging it. And she's like, okay, I'll come tonight. And then when she doesn't turn up, and you think, oh, why, what happened? This, that, or the other. Like, for me, I view it as from her point of view, it's like we've connected through this almost religious experience recording this music together. It's very spiritual. We're so deeply connected on that level now. That's where I would like to leave the memory of us, because my husband is coming back and I have a little girl with him and we're going to try and make it work. She never says that her husband's a bastard or anything like that. It's not like
he was just living away, wasn't he?
Living away, and they've drifted apart, and it's like, I want to make it work. And I think she's gone back that night and she's like, let me leave it. It's better for him and for me. I just needed to tell him that in the moment so that he could have a feeling of something. But the reality is he's got to go to London and hopefully not connect with that girl. Maybe he will, but hopefully not. And he'll just go his own route as a independent musician in London with those tracks. And I think if he pulled up at her house when she has already said to him, my husband's coming over and I'm trying to make it work, and he's got a little girl, that's poor form on his part if he did that. That would not be a nice thing, especially as she intentionally didn't come to him that night before.
Yeah. I see, I've totally different reading. I don't have no respect for the other two partners in the relationship, because he didn't respect her, and he's gone away and left her, and never respected her music, and left her with her daughter. And it's like, and the girlfriend cheating on him. It's like, why would you want those other relationships to work?
I don't want those.
I think there's two reasons to go. I think he's forcing himself to go there because of the women being there, but he's really going there to better his career.
That's it.
He's like, the reason he's telling everybody and he's telling himself is he wants to take his music seriously, but he likes to think it's a little bit amateur still. But he knows by going to London, his career is going to benefit rather than his relationship. Yeah.
And even if on some level he doesn't realise that, and he's like, I'm going for the girl, I think from what we've watched in that film, the growth in his character and the music, he now believes in himself and his music enough that when he gets there, even if he is with her for a bit, we don't want him to be with her. We just want him to go to London and make it.
And also, he's now sure enough in himself to make it work on his terms rather than her terms.
Yeah.
Fuck that bitch.
Yeah, I know. I agree. I don't like her. But the husband thing, her husband, I wasn't sure about that, because is that the case? Was he in Dublin? I thought that they were elsewhere and they were in Czech. I thought they were in Czech Republic and they moved to Dublin, and he couldn't come for one reason or another. I didn't think that he was in Dublin and left.
I don't know, but just the way she was speaking about him as if like it wasn't the best relationship.
I think that's right. I think they drifted apart. But that's, it's that thing of people can drift apart, but also try and make it work as well, when people are having troubles in their relationship.
But I felt like their relationship that they built together, they could have made it. She literally said she loved him.
Yeah, I know, but
in Czechoslovakian,
it's more real. It's realistic.
Yeah. Of course, it's realistic. It's but they would always maybe see it as that was the lost love.
Yeah,
And
both,
I have hope that maybe that it doesn't have to be a lost love.
Yeah, well, there is always that hope. There is always that hope. It would be nice to think that, but also the other thing is, as the beginning of like, here's one thing that you can't distance from is that right up until that point where he says, "Do you want to spend the night?" He really knows nothing about her. It's all been about him, and she likes his music, and she needs her vacuum repaired, and they spend all this time talking about his ex. It's all about him, and then that's why she's like, "Fuck you, it ain't happening." Then the next day, when he goes to her house, he realizes she has this whole other life. Her mum is here. She has this little girl. She's married. Totally different life. Connected through music, yes, and good people, but that is their connection through the beauty of music and songwriting, and their intimacy comes from the scene in the shop where she sits down, starts playing the piano, and then he begins playing the guitar, and they write that song together. It's like lovers exploring each other's bodies for the first time as they play that track. It feels fucking so intimate, man. Beautiful. More intimate than any scene on screen of them kissing or sharing a tender moment could have been, because of how and they're like the fact that they are connected on CD, on record after that session as well. It is bittersweet that they don't end up together, of course, but it's quite
depends
beautiful.
On what way you're looking
way.
at it, though. Still, I see it as a hopeful end at the end.
Hopeful that they would be together.
Yeah, I see it as the way I read it is that after the film ends, in the credits, they are together. That's how I read it.
I'd never read it like that then, and I still don't. I don't think that's the intention, but maybe.
That is just like the romantic person in me thinking that all the stars align in your life, and it could just be a coincidence, but it's also could be fated that this is supposed to happen, and they met each other and they made music together, and what they had is beautiful. Why can't that be what their life should be, them together?
But they had that beauty. So in many ways, right, they both gave each other a gift. For her, not turning up that night after saying, "I'll come later," make sure that he goes to London. Because there's every chance, if she went that night,
She would have stopped him.
she would have stopped it, or they would have shared some embrace or something, and he would have been like, "I want to be here with you." But she's like, "You go to London. My husband's coming. I got a little girl. We're going to try and make it work." And he, as a parting gift, sends her that piano, like, keep music in your life. It's a bittersweet, beautiful ending. They both give each other a gift, and the gift is be free. Do your thing. Do this thing that gives you so much pleasure in life, which for both of them is music. And they connect on it and give it to each other as a parting gift. It's totally bittersweet, but very, very beautiful and so believable. It's heartbreaking in a way, absolutely. And yes, it is a romantic vision, and it would be great for them to be together, because rather than any Hollywood film, you really believe in these guys.
That's where it differs from that before trilogy, isn't it? Because if this was more Hollywood, they would have got together. Yes. I kind of enjoy the fact that they don't.
Yeah, me too.
And I think it works, and I'm not just slating off the end of the... I love the fact that they got together in the end of the before. It's more of a romantic young love than this is more of a middle age, isn't it? They're both at those crossroads in their lives where they can either start again or carry on with what they've got.
Yeah.
That's the sequel, though, right? In the first one, they don't actually get together.
They do, don't they?
No, and then in the sequel, they never actually met up with each other.
Don't they?
Yeah, they were meant to come back in 7 years.
Yeah.
I can't remember if they... they had sex in the first one.
I swear they did.
They did have sex in the first one.
But they said, in a year's time, we're going to meet, and
But it was
they don't actually meet.
But it was a very romantic, what do you call it, encounter, rather than this is more platonic, isn't it?
Yeah. It is platonic.
know, man.
They are probing.
I think, they both want to, but they both know it's not the best idea.
Best idea is to go back to the cheating girlfriend and the husband who just left her
But
for
you
so
can
long.
go into relationships and not leave someone, but have to work stuff out.
I know.
Quite a grown-up way of looking at it.
It's the grown-up way of looking at it. It is a more mature look at the complexity of human relationships, in that his heart has been broken by his girlfriend, and he still pines for her. He's created all this amazing music out of the heartbreak that she has caused him, and that music has almost taken on a life of its own as the film goes on, because the more he records and pursues and writes along with her, he almost purges the ex out of his system. So it is a case of, I'm going to London. Maybe he will be with her. Maybe they will make it work, but hopefully not. And hopefully he will just go his own path as a musician. And I'm really not sure about the relationship with her husband, what exactly the deal was there. I don't think that he was meant to be this terrible person. I just think it was a case of they went separate ways.
I think it was more a case of, like, just from the way they shot it at the end was, this is for my daughter, because there didn't seem any kind of like love between them. She was just off playing the piano, and he was playing with the daughter.
No, I just think
and she's looking out the window.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
but I think that she's playing music.
Love.
She's caught in the yes. They are both wistfully thinking to that connection that they have. You know.
I can kind of also see what you mean about her not turning up, because it's more of a you have this hurdle to overcome first before, in my opinion, before we could ever be together. It's like, this is your focus. You need to either overcome it and be with her, or literally like wipe the slate clean and be like, hey, this is not actually what I needed, because he was so focused on writing songs about her. So he should have, yes, gone to London, but then it could also been that her not turning up and him making the decision to go to London was like, okay, no, this is actually not what I want or what I need.
I think he needed to go to London regardless, whether it's for the music or for, in the way the film portrayed it. I'm not saying you have to do that in life, but like the way the film portrayed it was, he had to go to London, whether it's for his career or for the woman. And yeah.
I mean, it's small town mentality. If he'd stayed in Dublin with her, it wouldn't have felt romantic. It would have felt like a missed opportunity.
Yeah, it would have him sticking in his own ways, busking. He would have still carried on to do it.
Hence why he wants her to come to London.
But like she said, I got a kid. My mum's here.
Yeah. She got her own people to look after.
He had to go.
Sure.
He had to fly. He had to go do his music. And she, she's going to make it work with her husband. We don't get the indication that she is unhappy about the fact that her husband is coming over.
Not. She actively chose them when they were on the little bike and stuff, wasn't it? Like that.
Yeah. There is never a moment where he is, on the balance of things, it's quite clear that he is a bit more infatuated with her.
Well, it starts the other way around, doesn't it?
Regardless, even though she actually says she loves him.
I know that, but she doesn't love him. She doesn't love him. She's playing in that moment ever so slightly, knowing like, I have this power. I love you. There is something beautiful in you.
I don't know though, man. The way that it's played in the film, by her speaking it in Czech and you as the audience not knowing what she says, and it's never said what she says. You actually have to do the research. Mm-hmm. It's like you have to put the work in to find out that she actually loves him.
But the other thing is that moment was completely improvised at that moment between the two of them.
Which one was that?
When he's saying, how do you say, do you still love him in Czech? And then she says, and then he asks the question, and then she says something back in Czech. Yeah. And he's like, what does that mean? It means I love you.
Yeah.
Which is it's a very sweet, nice moment between these two connected individuals. They do love each other. And at different point in life, they may have walked the path together, but this is the thing. They are at two different stages of their lives. He is on the precipice. He's had his heart broken from this long-term relationship, and now he's pursuing music. He has to go that route. She is on the precipice. She's got her kid. She's over here with her mum. Her husband's been away for a while, and now they're going to try and rekindle things. They're on two different paths, but it doesn't matter because they've come together and they've connected in this beautiful moment. It doesn't feel like, oh, that was a waste, that was for nothing. It feels like we created something beautiful together. Now let's go our separate ways.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. It's it will always be like a regret. That was his moment to leave. It was, yeah, because it would always be a regret that what would happen if I actually went and like follow this journey and see where it went with my music.
Yeah.
But I'm still hopeful that he will return for one day.
Well, that would be nice.
I kind of hope that she worked it out as well.
I don't think I don't feel like she even cares. I feel like it's all for the daughter.
Well, maybe that is.
I don't know though. I just don't. Do you know what? We need to find the detail out here. I'm just going to check that scene where she's talking about her husband so he can talk with some actual knowledge about the fucking situation. Fuck's sake, he says that she has a husband. Yeah, it surprises me. 2 years ago when I found out I'm pregnant with Ivanka. So where is he? He's back in Czech Republic. It's over now, and I came here on my own. So she left. There you go.
But she said it's over. So
Yeah.
especially seeing as she left him.
Yeah, but if they separate, having some difficulties, we don't know the detail of it. We have no idea. We just assume. We can only assume. Oh, maybe he was an absolute bastard. We don't know the detail.
But I read that as they don't want to be together, or he would like to be with her because he's the one who came to find her in Dublin, but she's the one who left. She did not want to be with him. Hence why she just
but then they might have sorted out the problems. There might have been a particular set of reasons why, and he's gone, okay, let's sort them out and let's deal with them. If you don't like me because I'm drinking, and then I'll stop drinking.
Yeah,
I'm hopeful for the people for the love that's fresh.
I think their relationship was more of them pushing each other in the right direction and advising each other rather than love.
Yeah, there is a love there, but it's an unrequited love, I think. It's very beautiful, whichever way you look at it. Anyway,
Yeah.
I think both seem happy at the end that they met each other, rather than it feeling like,
Yeah, well, that's how you know it works, because it is so interesting to try and figure out what all their mindsets are, because it's not all in black and white like a Hollywood film would do. You can read into it and try and think like, oh, what do you think they think at this point? Do you think he would actually go and try it out in London, or what? Like that's why it's good. It gives you your own kind of paints to try and paint a story yourself rather than giving it all to you.
Yeah. Yep. The two of them started dating when the film was being made.
Really?
What? Two main guy and girl.
Well, that's maybe why you get these mixed messages from their characters.
That's why she said she loved him.
Yeah.
Well,
that's
what they say. It's improvised. It was improvised at that moment. So yeah.
I did feel like there was. It felt like a natural. It did feel very natural between them.
Yeah.
That was what was so nice. It actually felt like something was blooming, and it clearly was.
He said there was definitely the feeling. This is Hansard. He said there was definitely the feeling we were documenting something precious and private, because I'd been falling in love with her for a long time. Wow.
They'd collaborated before, right?
Yeah, they'd worked and toured together as this. Well, no, they hadn't toured. They'd worked together musically. They'd known each other, but then after the film, they started touring together as a group called the Swell Season.
Okay.
It's very beautiful when you see the two of them. There's a video which is incredible of them about 4 or 5 years ago, because they're not together anymore, but they're still very good friends. There's a great video of them from like 5 years ago, or 4 or 5 years ago, performing together. It still feels very intimate, very close. They just have a beautiful connection together. Yeah.
That's you can always really tell, can't you? Like, and that's what makes it so special, especially when you hear stuff like that. Like they actually got together. It's like, wow, it did feel very natural.
Yeah.
Like I'm rewatching Game of Thrones at the moment, and between Jon Snow and Ygritte, is her name Ygritte?
The lady over the wall.
Yeah.
I don't know her name, but
I
know who you're about.
Yeah. And obviously they're still together. They got children and everything now, and it's like you can feel something between them. Like, is half the time it's like, are they just improvising right now? Are they actually? Are they just starting to get off of each other just because they fancy it on set, or because it feels real?
Well, there you go. It does help. it does help that it has that documentary feel, like Sean said as well, because it does feel very, very intimate. And maybe if the two of them didn't have that romantic chemistry off screen, maybe that would have changed the performance. Let's talk about how fucking good. Well, in my opinion, they're both very good, considering that neither are actors; they're musicians.
Yeah,
they're very fucking believable.
I was more like, is this actually him singing rather than is this him acting?
Yeah, just his his voice is just incredible.
Very good.
If I were to criticize anything about the performance, I would say that hers is slightly less natural. But that may be, I don't know the detail of how long she'd been in Ireland or whatnot, and having to speak in English, so that maybe explains why the dialogue feels slightly stilted on her end, not completely, but it feels a little bit more like she is saying lines that she saw in a script. But because she's meant to be from Czech and talking in English, that would explain it too.
Yeah.
Her behaviour is very natural. Her performance isn't stilted. Just the way she delivers some of the lines feels a little,
I know what you mean. Yeah, it's almost like she's thinking, what is the English word for this? That's how I just took it as, because she's clearly like foreign to the country and she's learnt the language.
Yeah.
And that's almost like why she's reading from the translation book.
My favourite scene of hers is when she is writing the lyrics for the song for him, and she goes to the corner shop to get the batteries, and as she's walking back down the street, the camera's just following and she's singing it. Brilliant how they incorporate that.
Why does she never sing that song to him?
I think they record it together.
Do they though? I don't think they do.
I think there's an implication. Is that not the one that they do when they're around that little sort of electronic control panel thing on the floor, which has a weird kiddie sound to it?
I don't think, because I was purposely trying to listen out for it. I don't feel like they ever did it, because she never actually sings herself.
I don't think we never see her perform it directly for him.
No.
But the lyrics of it are something like, she says something like, if you want me, that's right, if you want me, satisfy me.
Yeah.
And I was thinking that when I was watching that, I was trying to unpick that, because obviously it's a connection to him because he's put a move on her the previous night.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So it's like, if you want me, satisfy me. How would you satisfy? Satisfy her it's like, in order to satisfy her at that point, it's give me more than this heartbroken puppy dog, which is fine, and I love you for that, but show me who else you are. Away from this ex, who can you be for me?
Yeah.
Who are you going to be for me?
Absolutely.
And ironically, the best thing that he could possibly be for her is this beautiful musician who wants to follow his dream, but that means going away from her. Which is, I absolutely stand by the reading that it's definitely her at that point being like, you need to go, because I won't love you if you stay. The person I love isn't who you'd be if you stayed.
Yeah, I think it's very telling as well. Like back to back, the songs we get is that one from her, and then after that is him watching all the old videos of him and his old girlfriend, and it's all about the little cracks.
Yeah,
how they escalated.
Yeah,
and it's like it's just a broken relationship now, and it's like this is the two sides of the coin from each character, and this is what this is their mindset at this moment. This is when he's realizing that maybe the relationship wasn't all that it cracked up to be.
Yeah.
Even though he does go to London.
Yeah, he goes to London, but he goes to London with a great purpose.
We are hopeful, that it's not just for that reason.
He's going to make it. He ain't going to make it in Dublin singing on those streets. He's going to make it in London with his CD mixtape. I love when they go to the studio and that guy who's overseeing everything at first is like, I'm here with these fucking noobs. They don't know what they're doing. Good. And then slowly, bit by bit, he's like won over by the magic of what they're doing. The absolute power and beauty of music, man. It says so much.
Absolutely. It's just for the loans manager as well. Just their story of how he's a struggling musician and he gets his guitar out.
And the funny thing is, it's like Michael Scott, but it's like he's had this guitar just sat around in his office, clearly. Why you just whip it out like that?
You can see him playing on a lunchtime. Just like, this is what I could have been.
Yeah. But it's all so beautiful, man. And it really has there isn't this you know, traditional thing of, and now here's the slump, here's the bad thing that they then have to get over. It's constantly quite life affirming.
Yeah, sure.
And beautiful. And very pure.
I really like the dinner party scene as well, where everyone's just singing.
Yeah,
it's like that must be like a wonderful thing to go to if you just like everyone's just jamming, doing their own little jamming session.
I said to Jenny, I would love to be at that, but I could not partake because I can't play an instrument well enough.
You get kicked out, mate.
Yeah, probably.
Also, I'd like to be there, but I'd like to be able to leave at whatever I leave.
Yeah, it's true. But it's lovely. It's lovely just seeing them, just, you know, that lady singing and then that old man singing. It's like when we went to this Little Earth Project Brewery in Suffolk a few months ago, and we were staying there camping, and one night this just musicians came. None of them really knew each other. They just all played their own instrument, and they sat in a circle, about 12 of them, and over the course of 3-4 hours they were just drinking pints, and they would take it in turn, one by one, to play a song, and it would just go round and round, and it was incredible. I mean, music, man, fucking hell, life ain't worth living without it.
It definitely isn't.
I mean, you could probably take like this whole film, if you're reading it in kind of your terms, that this dinner party scene is almost like a minuscule version of what they experience, where a small moment, two people could just sing together and like create this wonderful music, and then it's over, and then they can just leave.
Yeah.
The beauty of it, that in-depth connection that people can have. It doesn't always have to be about sex. And, you know, putting this particular story aside, I'm always a great fan of films and stories when they can show a man and a woman who have a deep connection but don't have to consummate the relationship. It doesn't have to then become a romantic one, because it's almost like men and women can't connect deeply unless they're going to be romantically inclined. Because it's like, what would happen, right, if you two were girls, and I'd met you, and we have this deep connection, as we do. I love you both. You're my dear friends. If you were women, what would that mean?
Yeah, it is always different, isn't it?
That you wanted to be with both of us.
Well,
This is a polyamory relationship.
You want me and Adam to get off of each other so you could watch. That's what you want. Is that what you're getting?
oh well, chance would be a fine thing. But, you know, I like that. I like that we can see these deep connections, and it doesn't have to mean, oh well, obviously they're in love.
Yeah, absolutely.
Although I do agree with you, though, Paul. I think they are in love with each other. They absolutely see beauty in one another, and they could be together, just in another life at another time. Another time.
Yeah, you can just leave that film with hope that something nice is going to happen to both of them, whether that's together or on their own.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why it feels quite wholesome.
It does. And you know, it bucks the trend again, like you said, with the dads, that moment when he plays the CD to his dad, or the tape. And in another film, the dad would be against him going, come on, why don't you work here?
Yeah,
we're trying to do something. And the dad's like, you fucking go, son, that's brilliant. Play it again. Here's some money for a deposit for a place in London. You're going to be amazing.
Yeah.
That's just,
Lovely.
that is so wholesome.
Yeah.
Very, very beautiful to have that sport. And like when his dad brings in the tray of tea when they're practicing in the bedroom.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
That is very nice.
What was your, if you can remember, what was your favourite song in the whole thing, would you say?
I think her song.
The one when she's walking down the street?
Yeah.
Mine's the one in the piano shop. That's such a beautiful moment.
Yeah, the one in the
I
piano
think it
shop.
might be my moment of the year as well.
There you go.
Oh,
So it's a
Like,
very strong
you know,
early
coming at the end
contender.
of it, I'm like, at the beginning, it's like put a big solid pin in that one.
That one is absolutely beautiful. It's true. And I'll tell you a funny story about that. So after the film, because it became such a hit, people would go to Dublin and they would recognise the shop, and they would go in and they would ask if they could play the song in there on the piano, and the owner was like, no, you can come in here, you can play the piano, but you can't play that song because that's just happening all the time, so I'm not allowing you to do it. But then he decided to sell the piano to someone who was going to pay a lot of money for it because they'd seen it in the film. So he sold the piano, but the owner sold the piano 4 times because someone would buy it and then he would order a replacement, and then someone would come in and he would say, oh yeah, that's the piano that they did it on. So out of the 4 people who have bought these pianos, only 1 has the legitimate piano. Imagine
maybe
how
not.
much
Maybe
you'd be
the
if
owners
you
still
wanted
got the legit one. They've all got the fakes.
I know. That's true.
That's funny.
As much as I do love that, and I really do love that, it is beautiful, and it made me very emotional hearing it. The really strong moment for me is when he, not long after the beginning of the film, where it's at night when she comes up to him, before she comes up to him, and he's singing that song, and the camera comes really close to him, where he is belting out his words. That's such a strong thing. I encourage both of you to listen to a song that he wrote called "Leave" after this.
Okay.
Which I saw him perform at Latitude, where he does that same thing, but the whole song is about, you could almost say it's an afterthought to this film in a slight way, about what might have happened once he met up with his girlfriend in London, because it has this intimacy and it's a very gentle song, but the lyrics are something like, leave and free yourself at the same time, let go of my hand, you got what you came for, now leave. And it builds up to a really sort of almost like angry, melodic shouting. What a voice. What power.
Yeah, very good voice. Wonderful.
Was it busy
Beautiful.
when you went to see him at Latitude?
Really wasn't. We were like 2 or 3 back from there because he had a crowd of about 100.
About to say, it's like so
he was
niche.
like first performance of the day.
Yeah.
You know.
In a small tent kind of on the side.
Yeah. But real beautiful and lovely. He had a bigger beard by that point.
Bigger beard.
It's funny how we passed the things because, yeah, I'm being extra lovely and kind to this film because of the connection with Jenny as well. But we were like, it's so mad how things have turned out as well, because the place that they go to when they go to the coast and they go on that walk and she tells him about her husband, me and Jenny went to that place in Dublin 5 years ago. We didn't even realise because we totally forgotten about that fucking scene. We were watching it yesterday. We were like, well, that's where we fucking went.
What? Because you recognise the look of it?
Yeah, and where the path they were walking on, what was on the coastal thing, it was wild. And I also liked that even though it was in Dublin, it was like real Dublin. It wasn't like city centre Dublin. It was like, you know, if you film something in London, we're not all living in central London.
I watched the beginning 5 minutes with Chelsea, and she lived in Dublin for 2 years, and she was like, oh my God, that's that street, that's that street, that's that street. That's like near where I used to live. Like,
oh, that's cool. Did she watch it with you?
And she only watched the beginning 5. Because I watched it at like 7 o'clock last Friday morning because I thought we might be doing a podcast in the afternoon on it. We had to cram it in, and then we didn't.
Yes. Did you watch it with Opal?
I didn't know. No.
Oh. Lovely one to watch with the significant other.
Which you can break up and move to Ukraine or wherever it was.
Yeah.
Ukraine.
Where's she from? She's
Czech
Ukraine.
Republic.
Czech Republic, wasn't it? So.
Beautiful, these guys. Beautiful film, and really lovely, and strong recommend. Go out there and watch it. If you haven't watched it, you should be going out there watching it. I have to say, before we reveal our scores, of course, the lowest person on Letterboxd for this is the contrarian himself, Julio.
What did they give it?
2.
Really?
Oh, shit.
Oh, come on. There's a lot of heart in this film. I don't think you could give it a 2.
There's no review to back it up either. So Julio, please explain yourself.
He did it. He heard we were doing the film and then put the score on.
Yeah, totally. We got anything else to say before we do the scores?
Do you want to hear some stuff that people have to say before we go to the scores?
Oh yes, yeah.
Let's do that. So first of all, we have Backstreet 74, and they say brilliant film. Plus Glenn's band, The Frames, are well worth checking out too. Have you listened to the Frames?
Yeah,
Ben?
they're great.
Yeah.
Check out The Frames. Check out Glenn Hansard's solo stuff. Check out Mark Hayes' solo stuff. It's all very, very beautiful if you like authentic
Good
heart music. I can completely see why Sean would be in love with this film as much as he is.
Of course. The next one is from, you can say Ghost Modern, but spelled without any vowels.
Yeah.
They just said, it's great.
It is. Pedestrian at Best says, I'm a big fan of it. I think the plot avoids sentimental tosh and the songs overall are sincere and well performed.
Very good. Sean Faust says, wonderful movie. I saw them as the Swell Season at Radio City Music Hall a few years after the movie came out. Incredible live band.
Very nice. I've always wanted to go to Radio City Music Hall.
Where's Radio City Music Hall?
It's in New York. It's the one The big one with all the neon lights over the top of it.
I see. Yes.
Eric Linden said, "It's a great movie. Love the stage version too."
Yeah. See, the thing is, I'm sure the stage version is great, but I feel like that nothing's going to beat the film because of everything we've talked about, the connection between the two of them. Glenn Hansard actually performing the songs, the documentary feel. I feel like it doesn't. I can see how it might work, but I can't see how it could be better than the movie. Rory OB says, I watched this when I was younger and love Glenn Hansard's music now. It's good for that, if nothing else. I can barely remember what happens in it. I have to say, there is some truth to that, where when I was watching this, I couldn't remember all that much about the narrative thread.
You just remember the music.
I remember the music, and I remember that he goes to London at the end.
Thank you for the music.
And the music is the gift from it, really, between both of them.
Yeah. If this is any episode that Adam could sing on, I'll allow it to happen on this one.
Yes, exactly.
Next, Paula says, never seen the film, but I absolutely love the song. There you go.
Next up, we have Kimbo, and it's an amazing film and awesome soundtrack.
Sandy the Hippie also says awesome soundtrack.
And Tease Electric says wonderful film.
Check it out.
So, there you go. Shall we move on to what we rate this film then?
Let's do it.
Okay, well, I feel like you might think I will give it higher than this, but I actually give it a 7. I thought it was good. Yeah, I thought it was good. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, it's a 7.
I'm exactly the same as Paul. I feel like the way we talk about this film, it sounds like I love it, but it is a 7 for me. It's a very solid high 7.
Yeah, solid.
Yeah.
All right. And when I first watched it back in 2012, I had it as a 7, very, very solid. But with time, maturity, my own paths, my own connection with the music and the story threads and how I view and read the whole thing, it's far too beautiful to be giving it a 7. And it's so close to being absolutely perfect. It's a 9.
Oh, wow.
I find barely anything to find fault with it.
I think because you've added your personal elements to it, it would tighten it so much.
Totally helps.
Film.
Yeah.
It's the N-word, isn't it? It's the N-word.
It's the N-word. Nostalgia. All right. So that then, therefore, means... And do we have a score from Sean that we include in this?
Yes. 10 out of 10
because Sean
from Sean
gives it a 10, which means we have 8.25 as our average score. It is sadly not going to be enough to take it into the top 20. I know Sean was keen to see it in the top 20, but sadly... it is not going into the top 20, but it's going to do very, very well because it's going to be quite high up. So the 8.25 average means we had to decide, is it better or worse than the Two Popes? I say it's better than the Two Popes.
I rate Two Popes higher. Can't.
Yeah, I rate Two Popes higher, but I think this is a better film.
But Adam, your logic makes no sense.
Well, just because you give a score, it's something like that. Yeah.
It means you liked it more.
Yeah. Well, there we go. So, unfortunately, it doesn't move up any higher than that, which means it is bottom of the 8.3s, because it's 8.25, unique score. But it's above Us, which I think we'll take, because that's a bit of a banger. And it's gone above that.
Us is a banger, mate. Us is a banger.
Well, that's what I mean. Us is a banger. Us is a banger. It's gone above that. No, Scott took Us down.
I know. It's Scott's fault for us being so low.
Well, I'm fine with that. So, Sean, just so you know what company that film is now keeping, as I say, it is above Us, but it is below the other 8.25s, which were the Two Popes, Mission Impossible Fallout, The Straight Story, The Vanishing, and Invisible Man. But who knows, when the guests can throw their score at something, some other lover of once may bump it up. But
of course,
Julio might do an act of war, because if he ever throws his 2 stars at that, he'll drag it right down. Julio's a psychopath for doing that.
I don't feel like he hates it that much.
I thought
4 out of 10.
I thought you were going to like this a bit more, Adam. I thought you'd have rated it higher.
Yeah, I did think Invaders, but I think it's all the music rather than the narrative. Maybe, like you say, you kind of forget it, and I don't know. It just and at 7, just a really high 7 for me, just feels right. Jesus Christ! I almost died at the end of the sentence.
What a horrendous noise!
Don't leave that in the fog. I was scared.
Yeah, leave that in.
Sound like he heaved.
I scared the shit out of everybody.
Oh, Adam.
It's a very high 7.
Yeah, fucking sneezes fucking galore. But yeah, it's a high 7 for me. Yeah.
Very good.
Would you either of you be interested in seeing him live or them live?
Maybe. It depends how much it was and where it was.
You know how I feel about going to concerts.
Yeah, I know.
Give me Rammstein, give me Enter Shikari, and I'll go there.
Yeah, and
Other than
Shikari's
that,
still
I
a
can't
band.
be bothered.
Yes.
No, but other than that, I can't be bothered. I don't want all those people around me.
Yes.
Fuck them people.
Yes.
It's time to tell everyone what film we are doing next, Adam.
Yeah, so there's so many films to pick from this year, like so many films, and it is so hard to pick. It's kind of just depending of where I want to go with it, and there's films we could do sequels of that we've watched before.
Oh Christ!
There's films that throw complete curveballs in there.
Heavens!
There's a film that I've wanted to rewatch for a while, and I thought there's no better thing to bring it to the podcast. I know it's going to be a bit of a meaty one, because I know you two absolutely love this film.
Oh, hang on,
shit.
hold.
What? Because that's what you picked.
No. I'm going to try and work this out.
I
Film
can't
that
even
me
look.
and you love. No,
You
I'm not
both
looking
love
either.
it.
But a film
I
that me
give it a
and
high
you
rating,
love.
but I really want to rewatch this film.
2007.
2007, a film that me and Paul love, and you don't like
So
quite as much
the
as
year-
that.
No,
what
I
you're saying?
like it as well.
Oh, right.
You
The year
two give it
before-
like a 10 out of 10, I think, or 9 out of 10, and I give it a 9, but I've only watched it once.
Okay, I know where you're going with this. Fuck me. If it's what I think you're doing, Jesus Christ.
It's good. I'm going to pick There Will Be Blood.
Oh shit!
We'll get ready for a 5-hour records. Jesus.
I know, man. It's going to be a meaty one. I was going to pick that with the Simpsons movie.
Hey, we're going in on There Will Be Blood. It's
How
time to
could-
put
how
on your
could-
big boy
in my
pants,
opinion,
boys.
though, it went down to that, or there'll be, well, No Country for Old Men. You can leave
I
that
love
out.
how
It's
Adam
gonna be-
says, "Oh yeah, I think my best scene of 2007 is going to be the one in that
I
piano."
know, this is the only thing I had-
There will be blood.
Yeah.
I had it in the back of my head. I was like, if I rewatch this film and think that scene as good as it was,
Fuck me.
then for a different reason, that might be the scene at the end.
Well, Christ. Let me go on there and hide my rating from our listeners now. So they don't know.
I didn't know if I wanted us to just love a film, or like,
Oh,
shit
brother,
all
this
over it,
is
but-
going to be a meaty one to fucking talk about for sure. You're right. Christ.
Well, I look forward to it
Yeah. I look forward to it very much.
very much.
So
Hey,
definitely
keeping the
have to
musical connection as well, because Johnny Greenwood did the score. And he's the wonderful musician of
Look of
Radiohead.
us. Look of us. Look of us.
Good stuff.
Vugavaz?
Right, should we move on to what our patrons have to say this week?
If we must.
Let's do it. If you want to become a patron, become a patron at www.patreon.com/filmbusters, and you can suggest films that everyone should watch on a weekly basis on the podcast and say, hey, look, this is a good film you should watch. Hey, this is a really
Weekly,
bad one.
bi-weekly,
Please
depends how
do
busy we
not
are.
watch. Yes, depending on how busy we are. But you can become a patron, just like the likes of Jason Clarkson.
Next up, we have Francis Siberini, one of our newest patrons.
And then we have Andy Bishop, the holiday friend.
Then we have Ben from Film Vloggers.
We've got Mark and Steve from Movie Drone.
We have the Home Video Hustle Boys.
We have Mr. Lukey Human.
We've also got Fiona Stewart.
We have the lovely Sean Panda Nicholson, who has kicked off 2007 with a bang and a banger. Bless your heart. Go and watch his Christmas advent calendar of songs. He's doing one song a day on the guitar for you people. Go and check
Oh,
out
is
his
he? That's
beautiful
lovely.
voice.
Yeah, it was very good. I very much loved it.
Yes.
We also have Mr. Nerdriver, Albuquerque boy.
Yes, we do. We have the man who doesn't like once, Julio.
Boo fucking hiss. We got Jamie Russell. That boo wasn't for you, Jamie. That was for Julio.
Sounded like it was for Jamie.
I know. Certainly not for Jamie. Julio, explain your fucking self.
And last of all, we have Katie and Oti from the For Your Reference podcast. First of all, we have Jamie Russell, and he's got to say, I would recommend giving Arthur Yang a go. It is a slow burn, low-key sci-fi that comments on our relationship and growing dependence upon technology. Colin Farrell is really impressing me with his film choices, and his performance is subtle yet convincing as a father struggling to deal with, well, it's best to find out for yourself. And Baccarat Blind it is as much as you can. And Baccarat Blind it as much as you can. I'm inviting.
God, you turn into Adam today.
I'm ill. I'm avoiding all trailers at the moment, and I have yet to have a film spoiled for me as a result.
Yeah. I don't know what this After Yang is, so
No.
best we don't probe it.
I've
and
had it on
just,
my list for a while, and
Yeah,
I've seen
same.
it's just come onto Sky, but I don't know anything about it. I just know it's got Colin Farrell in it. So
That's
I was
good.
like, yeah,
It's the best way. It's the best way to do it. It's the best way to do it, Adam, according to Jamie.
it's absolutely avoids trailers at all costs. Now, there is no point because trailers do spoil so fucking much. I just don't. That's why I really have no idea what films are coming out.
Next up, we have Sean, who gave us the film once, and he is on a run of shitty Christmas films. I think the man's obsessed with Christmas, isn't he?
Yes, he's watching a
always
lot
wonderful.
of
Loves it.
Christmas. He's intentionally watching the worst ones, it appears.
Yes.
But more power to him.
And
No, I know.
all the covers, they're
My
all look the
girlfriend-
same.
My
They
girlfriend
do.
does the same, but she listens to shitty Christmas songs, which I think is maybe worse because they
I
are
think that is worse.
awful, like awful. But yes. Anyway, he says update on the shitty Christmas films. Best, it's still broadcasting Christmas. Can't get enough of Melissa Joan Hart. She's
Good
my
girl.
she's my
Yep.
Christmas queen. She is my Christmas queen. That sounds like it's like a nice little song. She's my Christmas
Aw.
queen.
Yeah.
And worst is Christmas in Carolina. I almost said California there. Carolina. I don't want to talk about that one. A bad production all round. I love you all. I mean, the thing is with Christmas films is they're shit at best at the beginning. Like even the good ones are kind of shit at their core, and that's what makes them amazing. Because you kind of have to go tacky, you have to go stupid, you have to go over the top. So when that doesn't land, I can imagine it's just
Well, the best Christmas film, as I've said before, is still A Christmas Carol with George C. Scott.
Oh.
Still haven't seen it.
No. You boys don't like to take my recommendations.
Maybe I will this Christmas. We'll see.
You know Melissa Joan Hart. Bad news for anyone who's a fan. She's a big old Republican.
Uh-oh.
Oh, yes.
Uh-oh. Scott won't like that. Sabrina.
There you go. But, you know, Kelsey Grammer is a Republican too.
And he's in a Christmas film that Sean's just watched.
All the Republicans love the Christmas film because they think you can't say Christmas anymore. So all the Republicans go and make Christmas films.
Well, it's all red, isn't it? It's all red.
There you go. Very clever.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
And it's about a white man, old white man with a big beard.
Yeah, he touches kids.
Exactly.
Next up is Luke Human, who says 2022's The Menu is a hugely unsubtle satire that's much more of a black comedy than it is of any sort of horror. Taylor-Joy is as impressive as ever, and Fiennes is perfectly cast as the enigmatic chef. However, it is Holt and Chow who are the most delightful. We're served up some mystery, and there are twists that keep things interesting beyond the obvious narrative direction. A brilliant and funny romp with its tongue firmly in its cheek that had me grinning for all of its well-paced 100 minutes. Nothing bad unless you count rewatching the Star Wars prequels with my kids, while objectively horrible, are still incredible.
Oh, that's nice.
Well, Adam, you are the only one who can comment on all of that.
yeah.
Well, the menu, like I was saying from Jamie's point there, the menu, the trailer for it, it gives it away. The best thing about watching the menu was you didn't know what it was going to be. It was the tone of the film changes, and you don't. It's just like everything is given away in the trailer. It's like if you go into the film knowing nothing, I thought it was going to be like a boiling point, like just a night in a restaurant when there's other levels to it, but. The trailer just ruins every single element of it, and it gives away so much. Like
So what's the best way to experience this film, you reckon?
Baccarat.
Oi!
No, he didn't even say it though.
He didn't say it
didn't
properly.
Even say it. He just said the
Baccarat
fucking
blind.
film
I've got my
title.
Baccarat. I've got my. I've
That's
got
the
my
shorthand.
Baccarat.
He just went Baccarat.
I got.
Baccarat. He can't
Best way
he
to
can't
say
do the
it, say it,
alliteration.
BB.
He finds it hard. Baccarat.
You're a
Say-
monstrous boy.
I've got my Baccarat blind mug as well. I'm drinking out of it this morning.
Our dear listeners
You are.
can't see that.
I know they can't, but they should. They can see it in their eyes. They can see it on our Patreon website where they can buy merch.
Excellent. Good plug.
Oh, there you go. Very good. Oh, it's me now, is it?
It is.
Okay, well, next we have Nerd Reverts, Mr. Albuquerque himself, and he says, best, The Banshees of Inisherin. It's beautifully bleak. And worst is Disney's Dinosaur from 2000, almost like a Bridge the Gap movie in animation style.
I used to love the film Dinosaur,
Of course you did, mate.
but I was like watching it when I was like 6. So
What
it
is
was like,
Dinosaur?
yeah.
What happens?
It's a fat film when all the dinosaurs die.
Is it? Yeah, it's about
But
the
some of them survive.
comet here, isn't it?
Yeah,
Something?
and some of them go to this little thing. And I remember them. All I can really remember about them is all looking for water, and then they all start getting angry and they start jumping up and down on the spot. And as they jump down, they crack through the earth, and all the water rises out the earth.
Oh, shit.
It's quite a beautiful moment.
True to life. There you go. Dinosaurs jumping.
Well, they're
Dear
like
me.
stomping. They were like, what's the massive ones?
Have you seen it, Paul?
Diplodocus.
Diplodocus. I've seen it, but very long ago. Very long time ago.
You need to log it.
I wouldn't even know what to rate it. I don't remember it.
Adam gives it a 6.
Yeah. Well, Banshees. We spoke about this, haven't we?
We spoke about Banshees. Yes,
last
absolutely.
wrap up.
Good stuff. Nerd Revert.
I still haven't seen it.
Catch it. Let's see if it makes it onto your top of the year.
We shall see.
Next up, we have Julio. He says, best glassed onion, and just sit back and watch a master storyteller at work. I look forward to a new Benoit Blanc mystery every few years.
Benoit.
I knew you'd do that.
Benoit Blanc mystery every few years. Worst,
Me too.
I.O., which we did for an up-and-coming episode. The poster child of a city sci-fi Netflix original. One of them, at least.
Wow.
Well, I've never heard of I.O.
Hang on.
Never
I.O., not the television series.
I don't know.
Is I.O. the one where there's loads of little mini-series, like 10, 15-minute episodes?
Is that what they're talking about? Because that
I remember watching one of them.
Oh, no, it's not. It's a film. There is
There was a series like where it was loads of little...
Yeah, we watched the first season. It's very fucking weird. Anyway, that's not what he's talking about. Don't really know what I.O. is, but obviously we'll avoid it and just listen to their Contrarians episode on it.
Yes, please. Looking forward to it. And that's the end of the episode, guys.
Yeah.
I look forward to watching There Will Be Blood, Adam.
Yes, I know. There's so many films to pick from.
Oh, I can't. I haven't even looked yet, but I look forward to that one, and then we'll see. But before then, you guys can catch the monthly roundup episode, which we're about to record right now. Otherwise, we'll just see you next time on There Will Be Blood.
Fieldbusters.